Okay, so we will start for the video will be for vSAN, for configuring vSAN. Uh, let's go quickly, do a quick recap. What is vSAN? So, so what we did, we have 5 disks. It is one 200 gig that we install on each SXI that will be responsible to for the SXI how can I say for the SXI partition, and we have 5 other disks. There will be for the vSAN. vSAN require in fact I'm talking for a typical vSAN. Now there is a what we call vSAN, that is that you don't need a cache a capacity, um, but it's a new technology on SSI 8. But I won't come with it because you will need special hardware, special a component for that. Maybe that you will still have a but I've already made lab for using the latest technology of vSAN, that is vSAN. But we will use the normal one, the oldest one, if you want. Okay. Now the normal vSAN will use 2 type of disk. It will use a disk for the cache tier, and another disk for the capacity tier. Okay, so we create 2 disk group. Okay, so we have 2 disk. Each disk group will need a cache tier, a capacity disk for those. So we create 2 disk group. We have 2 disks on each SXI. Okay, and we create a capacity for for each disk group. Okay, and what vSAN do? vSAN create a big pool of disk with vSAN. What you do? You take all those disks and you create a big capacity of storage that we call a vSAN data store. A vSAN data store. Okay, so it aggregates all the capacity, and it provide you a big pool. It's very important. Um, if sometime if I won't go deeper on vSAN as I said before, but if I have to give you some information, it means that when you have to configure the all those local disks on each server, you should not create a RAID on it. That means don't create RAID 10, don't create RAID 50. You should provide each disk. You should provide each disk to VMware vSAN. That means VMware vSAN should be able to see the first disk, the second, the three, the fourth. You should be able to see it. Don't create RAID. What's happened? Why you say that? Because vSAN has its own mechanisms to replicate, to create what we call witness, to replicate the data on other disk to for redundancy. So it should be able to see this, because if this disk has a problem, it should be able to see it, so it can remove this disk under this group, and to replicate the data that has on this on other disk. But what's happened if you create a RAID on this, and the RAID has 4 disks? You cannot see if one disk has a problem, has an issue. That's why you should not provide, don't create any RAID on the disk. So you should provide all the physical disks to the vSAN. vSAN is responsible to create on top of this redundancy and security on this. Okay, but what's happened sometimes, this happen on old server, when you cannot present when you cannot present the disk to the guest operating system, or you cannot present the disk to VMware vSAN. What you can do, the turnaround solution will be, if you have 4 disks, you have to create 4 a word 0 for each disk. So you create one word 0 that has the first disk. You will create another word 0 for the second disk, another word 0 for third, and so forth. So you will create a red 0 for each individual disk. That means if the first word, this failed, so this word won't be available. So vSAN won't will see that and will replicate the data on other disk. Okay, so this is something that you have to know. There is many things to do in consideration. And in vSAN, vSAN provide a deduplication and encryption. You can encrypt your data on vSAN. Um, if you want to have provide another level, another layer of security on vSAN. But what you have to make sure, if you do vSAN encryption, a the particularity of this, that for the vSAN encryption, you have to enable it on the entire vSAN cluster. That means if you have 3 SXi server, you cannot enable vSAN on 2 servers only. It will be on the entire cluster. And in there's something you have to make on consideration. You have to make sure that you have adequate free space, because when you're going to enable vSAN encryption, so you have to do you have to reformat this group. So you have to make sure that you have a disk space available, free disk space, so you can reformat the disk group. And eh, and for sure you will increase IO. This will increase IO. That means for encryption there will be lot additional traffic for encryption, so there will be increases IO input. So make sure that um, make sure that your workload, when you're doing this, your workload won't suffer for those increasing IO operation. Okay, and it very quickly it's very easy. We will see that you can enable a vSAN encryption. That's, they call it data at rest encryption. This is a fancy name that they give it, but this is something that you should be able to do that. And for the fault tolerance, so there is weight 6, there is other weight, that additional weight you can use, you can add to your vSAN. But what you have to keep in mind, if you are using additional weight, it will take, you will have less space. Okay, you know that in when you are doing a wed where the math, that means if you are doing a word 1 over a word 5, you know that the word 1 will, you will lose 50% of, half of your capacity. And word 10, you will lose some. Word 6, word 50. So please know that when you're doing word in vSAN, so you will use less space of this. Okay, there's many things in vSAN. For example, you can have a stretch vSAN cluster. There is many things we can see. It's a big topic, but we will do it quickly. So if you are in one data center, it's easy to configure, but you can have a vSAN infrastructure that go across many sites. Okay, so many rack, physical rack, etc. Um, maybe for sure I have to come with a video to come deeper of this. Okay, so we will create vSAN. So don't forget, basically vSAN, you need a disk group. You need to have a cache tier disk, you will have to have a capacity tier. The cache disk generally is very less, 10 or 12%. I don't remember yet. I think 10 or 12% of the capacity that you have to in your calculation you have to do. Yeah, but in our lab we have a 300 for the a cache tier, and capacity we have 600. Okay, but let's see all the available disks before we configure the vSAN. Let's see all the available disks in our infrastructure. So we choose another one SSI one. We go to configure storage disks devices. We see all those disks. Now let's go back to the vSAN. There is two type of vSAN, but there is the vSAN hybrid mode. What hybrid mode mean? Hybrid mode, it means that the the cache tier should be an SSD, should be an SSD disk. That means it is faster for with performance, and the capacity can be an HDD. So you have HDD, um, can be a SATA, a SIS disk for the capacity, but for the cache tire, it should be an SSD. Though, so this means it is an hybrid vSAN solution. But this was for long days ago. Um, I have many years. I have do vSAN. Every vSAN installation I do, it is the new, this is the normal one, what we call the all flash vSAN. All flash vSAN mean IF vSAN. All flash vSAN mean your cache tier and your capacity disk all are SSD. N- don't forget, nowadays, long month ago, many years ago, SSD drive were very expensive. So to have a 1 terabyte SSD, um, and if it is an enterprise grade class disk, so it will be very expensive. But nowadays, with the growing of the technology, SSD disk is not a big deal. It's not. It is something that is available, and with the performance that you get over the hybrid, so now they don't use hybrid anymore. So all the deployment, if you can do, go with all flash. All your disk is all flash disk. Okay, now if you go to the devices, you see all my disks. The type of disk is flash. When it is SSD, it is a flash disk. So I can go here. If you want to go to, I can turn on the LED. For example, if I want to go physically in my server, to see which disk it is. To locate the disk, I can go here and I turn on, so it will blink in the server, so I can see the disk if I want to replace it, and it is a flash. It is a flash disk. That means it is a SSD disk. So you see, if my disk, if my all my disks are SSD, they are flash disk. This is the CD-ROM. No, HDD. Okay. Now, why I say that, I want to point you to something. If you are doing a lab, for example, you have a node server, or and those server doesn't have a, those disks are not SSD um, a disk. What you can do for the lab, I say only for the lab, not for an environment. If the disk is if you will see, when for the first disk, you will see it is HDD. They are not SSD drive. What you can do, you can mark th- those disks as flash. It is for lab only, because if you want to do a all flash disk, you can select all your HDD disk and you mark it as flash. Or you can do that, where you see mark as HDD, as it is flash, you can mark it as HDD, but if it was HDD, you can mark it as a flash disk. So this is something that you can do. You can lab if you want to lab a or flash a vSAN in your lab, so you can mark all your disks as a. But in an environment, don't do that, because if you mark a SS a HDD a disk, a normal disk, SATA disk, a SAS disk as a SSD, you will suffer in performance a lot. So don't do that in production, but in lab it's fine to do that. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to use the first disk for the cache. You see, it's less than the capacity. We're going to do the first and the second, the first for the cache and this for the capacity, and we use the another disk group, create another disk group, the first one for for the cache, and the last for the capacity. So that's it. So we're going to enable a vSAN. How to do this, we go to the cluster. So vSAN is enabled is enabled at the cluster level. Eh, the same thing for DRS, the same thing for HA. They are you enable those services in at the cluster level. Okay, you go to the cluster, configure, you go to vSAN services. Okay, and you can start, you can configure. There is as I said before, there is a many option. You can deploy vSAN, you can deploy a switch cluster vSAN. Maybe I have to do a some lab, to show you that I can have many sites, two sites, and I deploy a vSAN switch cluster. Very interesting. I can deploy a two node vSAN cluster, and so my witness VM, I, I can I can I can host the witness a VM in, so in VMware station, other things. So I have a two node, because basically you should have at least three nodes for a vSAN cluster. A two for the data, and one will be for the witness. Okay. So I will deploy a standard vSAN cluster. Let's go quickly. Okay, do configure. Okay. Don't forget that we talk about the VSA. So I have to talk, but we will not do configure VSA yet, because hardware are not a certified for it. Next, are we going to do compression? Are we going to do the deduplication and compression? Are we going to do encryption? I talk about this later, but we're going to do we won't use those services, so we will do it only vSAN. So you choose none. Next. Okay. And you say for the disk, you have to have the cache tier. You should have the capacity tier. So I always say tier, but sorry, I always say tier, but the white name is, the white pronunciation is tier. Okay. So you, for the vSAN, you should have the cache tier, and you should have capacity tier. So basically is it do it for you automatically. So it say, you see the disk that has less video, let's say is that is the less amount of storage he uses for the capacity, and the big one he use for the capacity tier, and the less for the cache tier. Okay. So what he do, so he, for the SSI one, I have two disks. He use it for the he use it for the cache. SSI2, there's two this I use for the cache, and and for the and for the capacity. So I have 6 disks again, two on each server that you use for capacity. But if you want it, it is automatically, it it advise you can use those this for cache and those this for capacity. But if you don't like it, you want to use um the second a 300 gig on the SSI one for capacity, you can go here and you claim it as a capacity this. Okay, you can do it. It is not recommended, but you can do it. Okay. But that's what that is our goal. So we will use the 300 gig for the cache tier and the 600 gig for the capacity. So we are fine with this. I'm happy with this advice, with this recommendation, and I'll go to next. And you say you don't want to create full domain. Full domain mean by default I have one full domain, one full domain. That means if SSI one has a problem, it will replicate the data on SSI two and SSI three. But I can have, let's go to the design. I can have a what I call the rack domain. Rack domain mean I have a rack or one that have many servers. I can have four rack, for example, or two or three or four. So I have four racks that has servers on it. Watch. So I can create what I call the full domain. Full domain mean I want that I can survive in a rack failure. That mean if my rack by default the first server is has a problem, it will replicate in the second server in my first rack. But I can create a full domain. Full domain mean I can put a if R1 my rack one failed, that the data is replicated in R2 in R3 again. That means if R1 has a problem, I know that I can create full domain like this. So I if my R1 has a problem, so I can I can still have access to the data because it will pick it on another rack. Okay, so that's where you create a full domain. So I can create I can create um a full domain that has L1, L2, L3, etc. That's why they create full domain. But in our lab, we have only three hosts, so you can tolerate only one failure. So, but you, but you can create many full domain. You can create many full domain, but we don't have a this is something that you can keep in mind in your design that you can vSAN can tolerate work failure, etc. It can tolerate site failure as well. Yeah. Next, finish. So that's it. So I create my vSAN. So it's going to populate the disk. It's going to create the disk group, and it will create a big data store. So let's wait. Yes. So I'm finished. Okay, so I'm finished. So I'm finished. So for the storage, so everything is finished. If I go to the data store, I have a vSAN data store. So my vSAN, um, I have a vSAN. What is the size of it? Okay, I have a vSAN that is 3 terabyte of data, and it is using all the three rows participate on the vSAN. So it is a shared data store. That mean you know that if you want to have vMotion, those things, those VM should reside on the shared data store instead of buying a physical SAN, a storage area network. So it's better that it's cheaper or as also that you provide a vSAN data store to your environment. So you have a shared data store. Okay, so that's okay. So I have my vSAN that is 3 terabyte that all my hosts can use. Okay, all my hosts can use. Yeah. Now, if I want to go to my vSAN, um, the disk management, I can see all the disks. I have a, for example, I have 4 disks that is using on each servers for vSAN. Okay, I can see which disk. Let me minimize this. I can see which disk that is for. How can I say that? I can see which disk is using for the cache or for the capacity. I can do all those things. Okay. Mm, okay. There's full domain. I have only one full domain. Okay, I have only one. Um, yeah. That's it. That's it. If I go to monitor, a the monitor vSAN, I can see, for example, um I can see my capacity, how much space I have. Okay, so in my vSAN, so I have a 1 terabyte. Don't forget, there is one disk that is used for replication. So you will lose some space if you're using a vSAN. Okay. Um, yeah, and you can see the performance. You can see short. Okay, you'll have some data to see when if you want to troubleshoot the vSAN. You can do proactive tests. You will create some tests. Maybe I have to do some videos on it. You can do some tests to see if the network that is allocated for recent traffic, it is okay. The storage, for example, if you're the disk that you are using, the IO disk, the QDEF on the disk, if they are okay, so you can see it if the IO is okay, if you have many IOs, etc. So we can do those tests. There's the skyline health where you can see your whole environment to provide you recommendations. You can say that, for example, eh, my Gs are not certified, not the VMware certified. You can say that if you need to upgrade the firmware, or upgrade the driver, do this some, so you can do it. So it's very interesting. um yeah, so that's it. So what we did, this video, so we configured the vSAN. So we have a big data store. So when we're going to create a VM, it will be another next on the next video. So we will create the VM on the vSAN data store, and we can vMotion, do everything like this. Yeah. Thank you very much. I think that's it, and thank you very much for following. Um, Thank you. If I would like, I would be glad if you can subscribe. Don't forget to do that. It will give us motivation to do more video. Like, if you can comment what you is something you want to comment, is something that you don't understand, you can put in the comments. Maybe I can explain it, the design, something that you don't understand the design. I can provide more information in the comments to you. If I need to grab a new video, I will definitely do that. So to 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 do more so it is clear. So thank you very much. Subscribe, like. Thank you very much for following. In the next video, we will deploy a VM, maybe a Windows VM, a Linux VM, and we will continue. Thank you very much. Bye for now.